All right, I see that the mayor is on. Madam Clerk, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody from Cummington, Kentucky. I'm pitch hitting today for Councilmember Appel on the Real Estate Committee meeting of July 17, 2023. It's now a little bit after 3:30, about 3:32. And I don't see Councilmember Waring. Oh, there you are, Councilmember Waring. You got on just in time to do the invocation.
Hello, everybody. Let us pray. Eternally, Father, as we come before you, we thank you for all the many blessings that you've provided. Thank you for keeping us in your embrace. And thank you for having us the opportunity to go about doing the work of the people's business. Help us bring forth our best thoughts and abilities as we go about doing the business for our people, and in particular, those who are less fortunate. These prayers we ask for in your name. Let us all say amen.
Amen. Very good. Thank you, sir. The next item of business, approval of the June 12, 2023 meeting minutes.
So move.
Got a second?
Second.
Was that a second from Councilman McGregor?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. The next item of business is request approval for the National Park Service permit for the use of Liberty Square for the First Day Festival.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
And who's going to talk to us a little bit about this proposal?
I can do that, sir.
Thank you, Mindy.
Hi, so this is for our annual First Day Festival. Every year we utilize the Liberty Square space for vendors. It's where our recreation department stands up a kids zone. And so I've been in contact with them, and this is the permit to allow us to use that space.
All right. There's a motion on the floor. Any discussion by members of council? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. The item B is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment to memorandum of understanding and agreement between the city and TMP SRE Holdings LLC. Julia, is that yours?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So this is extending our MOU another 6 months so that we can get our public infrastructure agreement in place. We are so very close now, and they have some really exciting things planned for that Citadel Mall spot. So we are looking forward to that, and we would recommend approval of these additional 6 months to get that done.
Any expense to the city on this?
No, sir.
I'll entertain a motion to approve
Move
item
for
B.
approval.
Second. Second by Councilmember Gregg. Any further discussion on item B? Seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Item C is for Mayor and City of Charleston Council approval to acquire the aforementioned property for the development of for sale and rental workforce affordable housing located on Bees Ferry Road. And Gianna, I'm going to go take a stab and say this must be one of yours.
Yes, sir, council member, that is correct. We are requesting today support for the acquisition of property located on Revere Street. It is a total of 17.497 gross acres and 14.593 high acres. As indicated in the purchase and sale agreement before you, the cost for this property is $5,107,550. The appraised value is $5,250,000. The property, council members, is located in a PUD, and as part of the considerations of purchasing the land, we would need to have the PUD amended, as is outlined in the agreement as well. One of the reasons we would want to have the PUD amendment is to increase the opportunity for more density on the site. Currently, there are 43 units allowed. We would want to go to a higher unit count. And then to remove the minimum commercial square footage in the PUD. And shortly after I go through my remarks, I'll put up a little schematic that we have prepared for your information. We anticipate the development of at least 124 homes. 72 would serve as multifamily rental housing. 54 would serve as a for sale attached fee simple townhome homes for first-time home buyers. As you all are aware, our comprehensive plan advises that 16,351 units are needed by the end of the decade. The larger portion of those units are needed in the West Ashley community. 6,353 are needed in West Ashley, probably more based on that plan than any other area in the city of Charleston. The conversion of this site from commercial to residential will decrease traffic concerns. And I know Councilmember Shealy and I have talked about this, or we've talked about the traffic concerns that he has. But in fact, converting this from commercial to residential will decrease traffic by 25%. So there is an opportunity there. And so in order for us to facilitate the ongoing construction of affordable and workforce housing, we're seeking that support. This property is also in Zone X, which is a non-flood zone, which is always important. I did have Dale Morris take a peek at this as well and make sure that it didn't adversely impact our resiliency efforts in relation to in relation to future building opportunities. And so one of the other concerns that Councilmember Shealy brought forward, which I didn't know until he and I spoke, was that this property is in the Church Creek TIF. And I think Christopher Morgan and his team may have some additional information with regard to that, but I would ask your support of this acquisition. I would also share with members of the real estate committee, we do have a 90-day due diligence period in here. Essentially, what we do during that time, as you all are aware, is conduct our phase 1, conduct our geotech to make sure the land can adequately address the construction of the housing that we would seek to build. And so there are efforts that we are undertaking with regard to that. In addition, we are working with HLA, both on looking at the density options, as well as working through the PUD amendment that would be required. Thank you.
Jonah, you had me at hello. I'll entertain a motion to approve item C.
So moved.
Is there a second? No second?
I'll second.
Okay. All right, we'll open it up now for discussion. Anybody want to talk about that? Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would be supportive of this purchase. I think everyone knows the availability of land is limited and expensive in the city of Charleston. And the need for affordable housing is everywhere in the city. So this is one of those places, as Deanna mentioned, was highlighted in our recent comprehensive plan update. I did have a question about the contingency on changing the PUD. So you have a 90-day due diligence, but would the contingency survive, so to speak, the due diligence, that you would make sure we got the PUD amendment done before we were required to close on the property?
Yes, sir. That is a requirement. We put that forth from the very beginning. If we didn't have that done, or if for some reason it wasn't approved, we would not move forward with the acquisition of this land, because it's naturally density is one of those key things. We work very closely with the planning department to make sure that would align appropriately as far as the amount of time it takes to facilitate a PUD amendment through the planning commission and then coming back to city council.
Right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any further questions? Councilmember Waring, I could read your body language pretty well.
Well, Councilman Shealy's had his hand up for a while. I
Okay.
know you-
All right, Councilmember Shield, this is in your district, I believe, correct?
Well, it's just on the edge of the district I represent. It's technically District 5, but I appreciate you allowing me to speak on this. As Gianna said, this is a couple properties that are in the Church Creek TIF. And I think those of you that have been on this council a while knows there's no area of Charleston that's in more desperate need of infrastructure than the Church Creek Basin. We did a study plan way back in 2017, 6 years ago, and compared to what needs to be done, very little has been done for Church Creek. But one of the big things that came out of this is in that study, it said at that time in 2017, it was going to cost $44 million to fix Church Creek. Well, how are we going to come up with $44 million? Well, we came up with the idea of having a TIF there. If the city buys these properties, we're taking money away from Church Creek that if a private developer came in there, a private business came in there, we're taking those funds away from Church Creek in one of what I think is probably the most critical infrastructure that we've got in the whole city of Charleston. And to put residential units there instead of businesses that are there now, which is what the change of the PUD would be, is going to put more cars on the road to add to those infrastructure things. I heard Gianna say, and I've talked with some people about the traffic issues. Listen, if you've got businesses there, those are not people that are driving. When you're west of 526, you're going to be driving east in the morning, west in the evenings to go to work. And it's when there is gridlock anywhere west of 526, there's absolute gridlock there. So there may be traffic going to some of these businesses, but it's going to be people that say are in Carolina Bay that are driving west to go to that business at a time when it's not at a jam-packed time. And I don't know how many of you are aware of where this property exactly is, but it's right up close to the Charleston County landfill. And many of you are aware that the Charleston County landfill has had many complaints from neighbors for litter and trash in their yards, having wastewater run into yards, and just the odor around that area. Some of these properties are further away from this property that we're talking about now. So, I guess my question is it fair? You have people that maybe can't on their own afford a house that need a affordable house. Is it fair to put them next to a dump that's caused neighbors serious interest, bad enough to have a failing grade? And again, add to that traffic. Is it fair to the community of Carolina Bay? A lot of you don't realize Bees Ferry Road runs along. There's Sanders Road, which this is going to be at the intersection of Sanders Road and Bees Ferry Road. A lot of people cut through Sanders Road, and I get complaints all the time of the Carolina Bay community where people are cutting through that neighborhood. Well, these people are certainly going to connect. Why are they cutting through there? Because they're trying to avoid the gridlock on Glenn McConnell Parkway and even on Savannah Highway. You all know the intersection of Main Road and 17 and what a disaster that is as well. They're trying to avoid those intersections and all the traffic that's on there. And I want you to consider too that in Plan West Ashley, under a chapter titled Vision, it says shorten trips to new work destinations. And it says putting residential. So, anyway, it says to put residential houses closer to work or put workplaces so that everybody that's west of 526 is going east. We need to get people going the other direction or not having to go that far in there. Under a section, chapter 6 called Economic Development, it says we need ideas to encourage the reuse of vacant sites with a complete mix of uses, including workplaces. Well, we're doing the opposite if we're taking workplaces away in this situation. I think everybody knows this. You've heard me say this before, that Plan West Ashley says 84% of employed residents in West Ashley drive elsewhere to go to work, causing traffic issues. Again, we're taking away potential workplaces here. And under community concerns in Plan West Ashley, it states that there are no small community scale retails and services in outer West Ashley. So considering all that, in my mind, it is absolutely wrong for the city of Charleston to buy this property to put residential units here. Listen, I'm all for affordable housing. I know we need it, but we've got to put it in the right places. This is the wrong place to put affordable housing. I may not be here if it wasn't for affordable housing. My parents both lived in affordable housing during their childhood when they were growing up. I understand the importance, but where they lived wasn't a big issue with traffic. And if we continue, this is the fourth property outside of West Ashley that the city of Charleston has supported where there's gridlock traffic and there's reasons not to put it, to put any housing. I shouldn't say affordable housing. It should say any housing along Ashley River Road or along Bees Ferry Road, any type of housing at all. Anytime we have an opportunity to put businesses there instead of housing, we need to do that. But we've already put 3 there just recently, and this will be a 4th one that we're doing. Y'all, it's just not fair to the people that live in beyond I-526, because everybody beyond I-526, when they drive east, now they split at 526 because a lot of them go to North Charleston and a lot of them continue on to downtown Charleston. But from Bees Ferry Road to 526, anything on that outer thing, we should not be putting additional housing there. There's got to be thousands of units being built right now, and it is just not fair to the people who live there. So I do want to thank Gianna. She does a great job. This is just not the right location. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right. I see that Councilmember Brady, but I'm going to go through the members of the committee first. Councilmember Brady, to see if they have any other comments.
Councilmember, let me yield to Councilmember Brady. Certainly out from that area too. Let me hear him.
Councilmember Boyd.
I don't have any questions. I'm just listening right now. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Brady.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize. I'm in my car. That's why I don't have my camera on. But I certainly share Councilmember Shealy's concerns with the traffic. But I think as people look, especially in the Bees Ferry Road corridor, one of the things I know myself and Councilmember Bowden have talked about is, as Councilmember Shealy pointed out, the need for commercial in that corridor because you have such a concentration of people. But we're starting to see a commercial movement in that area. You can look at the Harris Teeter Plaza that went in between Grand Oaks Boulevard and West Ashley Circle. There's at Hunt Club Run and Bees Ferry Road. It's being developed in the unincorporated county. But there is also a commercial plaza going in there that'll have medical offices. They announced that there's going to be a Kickin' Chicken, which I'm fairly excited about personally going in there. And there's another where the horse farm is. We've talked about the annexation for that property, but there's an aspect of commercial going in there. So I initially was a little hesitant to support the affordable housing on this site. But as I've started to see the commercial revitalization on Bees Ferry Road, it started to make some sense to me that the affordable housing that would be going in that area could support workers who would be working in those businesses in addition to the already existing commercial areas in that space. And so I think that it gets to the point of with people working in kind of lower level administrative kind of white collar jobs, plus hospitality workers in the food and beverage industry that could qualify for this type of housing, it would make sense to bring them closer to where those are going to be rather than those folks having to live even further out and actually more further exacerbating traffic coming in than putting them where they are. And as we know, we're going to see more businesses in this general vicinity just because of the concentration of population. I think it makes sense to have some affordable and attainable and workforce housing in this area so that those folks aren't having to go out to Ravenel. They're not having to go out to Dorchester Road. They're not having to go out further to Somerville or Ladson or that area and contribute to the gridlock that exists, we know, coming inbound in the mornings. And so, like I said, I originally was kind of hesitant, but as I've seen these commercial enterprises start to be announced and come online, I think it makes sense.
Very good. Thank you, Councilmember Waring.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I see the mayor's hand up. Let me yield back to the mayor.
No, he's already spoken.
He's already spoken.
Down.
Okay, thank
Sorry.
Listen, no, it's okay. I've listened well. Two crucial things that we have in our area is obviously affordable housing and monies for drainage. It is clear from the school district that approving their monies to go towards TIFs is a dead end. Matter of fact, I happen to have a meeting with Mayor Summey, Mr. Mayor, on something dealing with CWS, the Hobson property up there issue. And I was complimenting him on all the nice things they're doing at Park Circle. Anybody who's been up Park Circle lately, man, boy, North Charleston doing an excellent job. Also around the old Danny Jones gym, they be doing all that stuff up there. So I was complimenting him on that. And I asked him, "You doing that with any TIF funds?" And he told me he's doing it with tourism dollars. He says, as far as the school district, they don't think they'll be going back because it's too difficult to get the school district. And we all know the larger portion of the tax bill that we all pay in property taxes goes to the school district. So taking this property out of a TIF is we're kind of like shooting one ourselves in our own foot. We all seen the flooding out there at Beast Ferry Road. And when we get these 4 and 5 inches of rain and the water hangs up there for sometimes 2-3 days before it drains off. The reason we hadn't fixed it is not that we don't have the will to fix it. We don't have the money to fix it. And this is the mechanism that we put in place to do it. The Planning Commission obviously looked at this and they voted the approval of the PUD. It came forward to the city. We looked at it. We kicked the tires on it. And we thought it was a good idea here. Put commercialization here. I think with $5+ million, we can find another track. I really do. As a matter of fact, Ms. Johnson, Shaw Johnson, how much money do we have available for affordable housing in our little pot? I know we need more, but how much do we have?
We don't have enough, Councilmember Waring,
Right.
hence our desire to go after 108 loan. We do have funding, however, to cover this purchase. And I have asked Bridge Commercial, who is Seth Clark and Daniel Pellegrino, to provide you all a written report on the efforts that have been undertaken over the last year and a half to locate properties for affordable housing. We know one of the reasons it's a challenge to building and developing housing is the lack of land ownership. So this provides that opportunity. And I would ask that you all highly consider it, Councilmember Waring and all the members of the team. And I just wanted to comment, Councilmember Shea, to Councilmember Shealy's comment relative to this property being right up on the landfill. It is not. It is about 1.5 miles, 2 miles away. There are 2 communities and a wetlands buffer that protects this property from the landfill itself. I know Christopher Morgan has quite a bit of information as well to supplement what I have shared. Christopher, can you share with the
Hold on a second.
Let me go back.
Wait a minute.
Let me go back to my question.
I'm the one to call on who's next, okay? So,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
let me go
Waring,
back to my
I think you're still
question.
talking.
I did ask
Yeah.
how much money, if you know, how much money do we have available for affordable housing?
So Councilmember Waring, we have approximately about 8 million in our various pots. 4.5 in fee and lieu. We have a small balance left in our bond dollars because one of those projects did not move forward. We also have funding left in our franchise fee account that Mayor Riley set up before his departure, which provides us about a $300,000 at the end of each year, approximately. So we have around that amount. We have a number of commitments against those dollars already. A commitment of $1 million to our Fenwick development that is happening now with the Resource Housing Group. So literally, although that money sits there right now, we currently have commitments against most of it, except about 3 million of it, which we were hoping to be able to secure a property to advance the affordable housing agenda.
Okay, great. There's one other part that potential anyway that I don't want to lose the institutional knowledge on this because a lot of council members have who voted for that use of the money to buy the property that the International African American Museum is on today. It was either a little bit better than $4 million that came out of the proceeds. If you remember, when the city parking lot that they had that was in front of the Harbor Club, before they became condos, that was sold. And those dollars went towards affordable housing. Well, the International African American Museum was supposed to be built adjacent to the aquarium parking garage. So when you come out that garage, you make a left turn and go to the aquarium, that open space to the left, believe it or not, is where the International African American Museum was supposed to go until Senator Leatherman came down and saw the property available where it is right now, the museum is, and said, listen, I'll support this, but this museum needs to be on the harbor itself. Well, that property, we voted to take monies out of the Affordable Housing Fund to go to the Anson family. Mr. Mayor, I don't remember their name, or maybe the last name is Anson. They were kind enough, once they found out that the Gadsden's Wharf was actually located on that site, to sell the property back to the city. The city had sold them that property for, this is before you came on council, Councilman Shealy. But I think a restaurant was supposed to go there. But the goal was to sell the property next to where the museum was supposed to go and replenish those dollars. Now, the only members of council that remembers that were probably Councilmember Mitchell, Gregory, myself, and Shealy. It happened before you became mayor. So I was doing the Raleigh administration. Now, as people come and go, if that property next to the museum, next to the garage is sold, without that being memorialized some way, I don't see how a new council, I don't know, this may be the first time you've heard it, Mr. Mayor, maybe not. But I know the institutional knowledge on that property and the value of it and being dedicated towards affordable housing. I hope it's not lost, because that's when we took monies from the fund, again, to buy the location for the IN, that's how it was supposed to be replenished if that property was ever sold. But anyway, thank you for the time.
Thank you, Councilmember Waring. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And in fact, Councilmember Waring, thank goodness Ms. Wharton has that good institutional memory as well. In fact, she brought up that same fact to me last week in a separate meeting when we were talking about the different sources just to make up this proposed $5 million purchase that I asked her to please balance out those accounts so that we, so to speak, pay that money back and use it now for affordable housing as it was originally intended. So that has been a topic just recently. Mr. Chairman, I wanted to ask if Ms. Johnson could do, as she mentioned a few minutes ago that she would do, and put a little drawing or map up of the property, and then I wanted to give a thought about how it might be developed. This is just a portion of the property, I think.
Mayor, what you are seeing and what the real estate committee is seeing is what HLA prepared for us to get a sense of the amount of units that could go there.
Right.
Brittany, can you put up the other more basic that just literally shows yeah, there we go. Probably need to alternate. Oops, my
Yeah.
writing's on that.
Can you rotate that as well?
Yeah, can you? Oops.
And maybe, oh.
There we go. Yes, sir.
So if I'm not mistaken, way over on the far right is Verdier Street, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
That's where I believe Sanders Road intersects, as Councilmember Shealy pointed out, across Bees Ferry. And I would respectfully agree that section closest to Bees Ferry on Verdier ought to be commercially developed. That would make sense to me. It's closer to a stoplight. People will be able to access, if it were retail or some other commercial or office use there. Frankly, I think I agree with Councilmember Shealy that that's appropriate there. Now, when you get to those other 2 or 3 portions of the property, you see it's very linear. It's stretched out along Beach Ferry Road, and it's separated. If you see close to Beach Ferry Road, that dotted line, there's actually not only is there some wetlands there, but there's also an easement for a pretty major power line there. And so you can't build right up on Bees Ferry. So in essence, you have to build back behind that power line. And as shown in that drawing she had up just a minute ago, I think for those 2 parcels that are separated by that other little road that leads back to a residential area, single family homes back there that somebody's developing, they're under construction right now. It seems to me that those 2 tracts are appropriate for residential development. In fact, the PUD allows 40 plus units already. I think what Gianna just showed y'all is a little more compact, given what we try to do to make things affordable. So I think maybe, the compromise or whatever is in the middle somewhere, that you keep a portion of it for commercial and retail use to serve the area and those neighborhoods back behind it, but they are behind the wetlands and the power line and next to the neighborhood, and there's no light on Bees Ferry Road where that other little road comes out, and it's not planned there. That in fact, I do believe that would be appropriate for residential. So I just thought I would offer that observation to everyone, because I did ride out there and walk the property a little bit, and the way it lays out, I personally think that makes sense.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilman Shealy, is that your hand back up for a second time, or?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to mention, I know that it was said that it's 1.5 miles. It may be 1.5 miles to the entrance of the county landfill. If you put up a Google map, you will see it's less. It's close to this. It's close to the mountain, I should say. And it's closer than where these neighbors have been complaining about trash and where there was wastewater running off and that type of thing. And by the way the crow flies, if you will, there's not a neighborhood between this property and the mountain. So, all you gotta do is look at a Google map image on that, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gregg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess 2 questions. So in the comprehensive plan, this is.
Excuse me 1 second. Can we take the map down? Thank you.
Thank you. So in our comprehensive plan, this is listed as neighborhood edge. I guess my question would be for Mr. Morgan. I think I saw him up. Is what we're proposing here compatible with neighborhood edge? Or Ms. Johnson? Is it?
Mr. Morgan, can you respond to that, please?
Yes, neighborhood edge allows up to 20 units an acre in residential density. So yes, it's compatible. It's not anywhere as dense as 20 units an acre in what's proposed by what Gianna was just showing there. So yeah, it's definitely compatible with the comprehensive plan. And I have images if you all want to see it for distances from this site to other things and all, if you'd like me to screen share and show that.
We'll get back to you in a second. Mr. Councilmember Gregg.
Yeah, I would appreciate Mr. Morgan showing us that. And then the other question I would have is just maybe just down the street from one of our affordable housing units. One of the complaints that I get very often is what's access to CARTA? Would this site have access to CARTA public transportation? I think that's something that we need to consider here, because being out in West Ashley and the traffic complaints that Councilman Shealy brought up, I think that's imperative. So if anybody on staff could speak to those things.
Do we know where the nearest bus stop is? Or
From what I
public
understand,
transportation?
Carter
I have
goes-
that on my map if you'd like me to show it.
Go ahead, Mr. Morgan.
All right. Let's see. Can you all see a large map with the subject property in the middle?
Yep,
Everybody sees that? Okay, great.
yep.
So yeah, just to orient you all, so here's Bees Ferry. One of the things that's great about Bees Ferry is it has this long multi-use path that goes all the way down to the end by Savannah Highway, as well as all the way back to Ashley River Road and continues on there. It connects to paths that get you into recreation centers, things like that. Closest nearby is a 1 mile distance from this property to the Bees Ferry Rec Center. So that's a very good proximity. The Carter bus routes are a mile away using this very nice multi-use path. They're at the West Ashley Circle, which has been always designated for the past 20, 25 years as an area of a fairly dense commercial and residential uses. So it's the perfect place to, have the things that are starting to come in here. We've had the Walmart for a while, which is a grocery. It's a mile away. We also have the Harris Teeter that's less than a mile away. Roper Express Care that's less than a mile away. Then you go across the street, across this signalized intersection, and there will be sidewalks along this road, ultimately Sanders Road, leading to the Bees Ferry Library that's 1.25 miles away, C.E. Williams Middle School that's 1.25 miles away, West Ashley High School that's 2 miles away. So there's a good bit of stuff that's in pretty close proximity. In reference to the landfill, so again, here's the property, here's the landfill. This is actually a detention pond here. So this is where it does go up to a mountain, where it's my understanding that the complaints have been from these folks and these folks here that are immediately adjacent to the landfill. As you can see, there's a pretty big amount of difference in distance because this is the closest any housing would be over here on this site. So there's a good bit of distance from the bulk of the landfill. And it's my understanding the county is approving housing that's going to be in front of the landfill. So that's going to be even closer to the landfill. So, we felt like as planners, when we looked at this site that, it really was checking a lot of boxes here. And we also knew that this Verdier site had a commercial designation for over 15 years since it was approved and it had not sold for those uses. Now there is interest in some commercial, as the mayor said, at the corner here that's now signalized, but there hasn't been a lot of interest here. And I think that's probably part of the reason we got the price we're getting on this, because land in West Ashley is getting incredibly expensive. And I was involved in all of Gianna's reviews with Bridge Commercial, and it is extremely difficult to find available land for affordable housing that's priced in a way that we can put our affordable units on. And I think that's how this one rose to the top, because of its proximity to all these things, and then its relative affordability compared to other properties that we looked at.
All right, I think we've heard from Councilmember Gregg. Anything else you want to add? Can we get back to the grid, Mr. Morgan?
Could I, thank you, Mr. Chairman. What is the proposed density here? So 20 units per acre is what neighborhood edge can be. What is the actual proposed density for this development?
Gianna, here, I'll do some math here real quick, sorry. So 14 acres.
So our initial assessment has been for 124 units, Councilmember Gregg, which would, we would build both rental, multifamily, and an attached affordable product.
Okay, so that'd be about, so 124, we're at 14 acres, so, okay.
8 or 9 units an acre.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think we had too many people speaking at the same time. How many units per acre was that, Mr. Morgan?
8 or 9 roughly.
Okay, all right. All right, anybody who has not been heard? I'm gonna call the question. And you gentlemen, if you were going to vote, would you please unmute yourself so I can hear you? Councilman Shealy, would you please unmute yourself?
I don't have a vote on this one, Councilmember Shade.
Okay. That's true. That's
Yeah,
what
I'm
you,
not allowed to vote. So,
you and
thank you.
Mr. Carl Brady. All right, so I don't have my cheat sheet in front of me. It's the mayor, Councilmember Gregg, and Councilmember Waring.
Right. Councilman Pell is absent on it.
And Councilman Pell's absence. Okay, all right. So let's call the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so the vote carries. I'll vote aye as well. I think we just need to get this in front of the full. I think the issues that I've heard from Councilmember Shealy and Councilmember Waring in particular are some things that we need to bring to the Ways and Means Committee meeting. And let's bring it in front of the full council to address. Those are important things. I appreciate Councilmember Shealy, the things that you talked about with the particularly Plan West Ashley as well. All right. Item D is the authorization for the mayor to accept on behalf of the city certain stormwater drainage easements from the preserve at Fenwick Hall. Who's going to, Julia, you addressing this for us as well?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So let me go ahead and share screen so you can see what we are talking about. This is over near Fenwick off of Maybank Highway. Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So here's Maybank Highway. Just to kind of get you all acclimated, Maybank Highway here. So Fenwick Hall, LA. There's a group, it's the Preserve, it's Gene Zerlo and Dennis Curtin and that group with the HOA, and they're about to shift ownership. So prior to that, they've offered up the ability to transfer some stormwater drainage easements to an existing pipe, which would run from here at General Cornwallis Drive. And right now it would stop at John Fenwick Lane. The plan is to come back in August for the continuation of that drainage pipe that would run from John Fenwick Lane. And you can kind of see a depression there through the rest of the pipe out to the waterway. So this is the first phase that we're bringing to you today. So we would recommend approval of this item. If you have any questions.
A motion to approve item D.
Second. Oh, so moved. Not second.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. E, authorization of the mayor to execute on behalf of the city a permanent easement which grants the city an easement on certain property owned by Daniel Allen Town Associates. Or that's a motion to approve, I think, from Councilmember Gregg. All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, who's going to discuss that? Now, Melissa, are you going to give us an update on this?
That'll be me.
Okay.
I'm going to share my screen. So this is where it is. We are building a pedestrian bridge right here on this side of Daniel Island Drive across Knoll Creek. And this is where it is right here. And the Daniel Island Town Association owns this property and this property right here, and they are granting us a permanent easement for this.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor, I believe. Councilmember Gregg, you want to add anything?
No, this is important. This will ultimately connect to the Barrister Creek Bridge, which, knock on wood, one of these days is actually going to start construction, and then this will enable folks to get from Daniel Island all the way onto St. Thomas Island by a pedestrian path. So thanks to the Daniel Island Town Association for giving us this easement.
Very good. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. F, request approval for a rental agreement with the Point Hope Presbyterian Church on Daniel Island. Julia, is this yours as well?
Second.
All right, we got a motion on the floor in a second. Anybody from legal want to talk about this?
I can. Lori is also on the line. She was going to take the lead on this, but
Lori, are you there?
I am, but I never want to step in front of an attorney, so I wanted to make sure she was okay with that. So yes, this would be a second year partnership agreement to have Point Hope Presbyterian Church using the Daniel Allen Rec Center on Sundays and several other dates during the year. This has been a really good situation. The first year here for us, I think, for both the city of Charleston and the church. There is a permanent plan for them to build their own bricks and mortar building in the next 2 years. This will allow them to continue to grow that congregation. It brings in revenue for us. We've met a lot of new residents onto the island that are now using our community center. It's in Councilmember Gregg's district, and I think it's ended up being a good situation, and he's supportive of this as well.
Very good. Any further discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Authorizations, item G, for the mayor to execute on behalf of the city a license agreement at the Citadel Mall for the continued use.
Move for approval.
Police substation. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Melina, you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yes, council member. So this is, I understand that we've had an ongoing relationship with the Citadel Mall to allow use of space within the mall, probably for about 20 years now, as far back as I could trace these lease agreements. So this is basically a continuation of that agreement and that relationship with the mall. It's a friendly 1-year term license agreement for $1. And I understand that the police department uses that space to hold meetings, do notes, paperwork, shift changes, things like that. I'm happy to answer any questions.
There's a motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. All right. We got annexations and executive session. Do we still have an item to go into executive session?
Yes, council member, we would like to bring this to executive session.
All right, but let's do this first. I would entertain a motion that we take up the annexations next before we go into executive session.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
So all those in favor of us amending the agenda to go into the annexation signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we're going to take up the annexations. Molly, I understand that we're deferring item number 3.
We will be deferring item number 3 and item number 6.
Item number 6, okay.
Yes, I3 and I6 will be deferred.
All right. And item 1, 2, 4, and 5, none of which are in district number 9, mind you, but I'll get over that. Are these all single-family resident units?
Yes, they are. They are all single-family residences. So we
And I
will,
noticed one of them is on James Island. Very good.
yes, in Riverland Terrace.
All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the proposed annexations I1,
So move.
2, 4, and 5. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussions as to those annexations? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. Molly, you do a great job. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, now, item number H, I'm advised we need to go into executive session. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Madam Clerk, can you